Day by day, little by little, we write the story of our lives. Join author Joe Alch on a walk down memory lane with tenacious humans who didn't let their circumstances dictate their life and what they could become. Welcome to the Lemon Tree Memoirs of Courage podcast.
Hi there, good morning. We have a great guest. We're going to get right to the questions. We're talking about ghostwriting. So people that have a story to tell and share and they just don't feel like they're a writer and they can't do it, there are ways to do it. So we have Michael Gray here, Texas ghostwriter. I'm so honored to have you as a guest. We've been working on this for several weeks, so he is a busy guy. So I'm going to just get right to introducing you, asking questions, and give the people the answers they're asking me. So let's talk about, when hiring a ghostwriter, what are some things you're going to look for?
One of the first things you want to look for is, are they full-time? A lot of ghostwriters are working part-time. That doesn't mean they're not good. It just means that when they're called into a business meeting or they have to take a flight to the Iowa caucus or something, they're not going to be working on your book.
Right.
So I would say that's probably the first thing you want to see. Second, you want to see how long they've been doing it. That's very important. But also you want to understand their knowledge of copyright law. When I first started, I didn't understand much about copyright law, but there is a law, the copyright law of 1976, and you have to read it and you have to understand it. Frankly, that's very important because you hire this person to write your book or to help you write your book, and you wake up one day, they own your book. I did not realize that when I take a picture of you, I'm taking a picture of your face, of you. I own that picture because I created the work. So you have to understand that. If they don't understand copyright law, you'll be working with a ghostwriter who will not, who may be, who you'll find out down the road when Netflix comes a-knocking that you have to pay them the money to get them to transfer the rights back over to you, and maybe they won't. So copyright is a big key, and a written contract. Do they have a written contract? That goes hand in hand with transferring copyrights. You're not going to be able to be successful and transfer a copyright orally. Good luck with that. You're probably talking a couple $100,000 in attorney's fees to try and prevail on that. So those are some of the keys. And just check their workspace out. Check to see where they accomplish their work. If you're meeting them at Starbucks, do they have an office? Do they have a home office? Those are some key things that I would recommend.
Mm-hmm. So just with talking about a contract and signing a contract, so what do ghostwriters charge?
First of all, I'll tell you how ghostwriters charge, and I'll tell you what I charge. And it's more than $40 an hour. That's an inside joke. Ghostwriters will charge a flat fee. Mm-hmm. So some ghostwriters will say, I'll charge you a certain amount of money and I'll do all the work. Others charge by the hour. Others charge by the word. A lot of people charge by the word. And then you'll have other people that have kind of a hybrid of that. They'll get some money up front and then per word. I charge by the hour. I charge $105 an hour. So people, when they hire me, they know when I'm working on their book, they're going to pay $105 an hour. Mm-hmm. And if that's a short book or a long book, that's what it's going to be. And that includes time for interviewing people, doing the outline, editing, and writing the chapters. And then in order to get started, at least what I charge is a $10,000 retainer. So people write a $10,000 check to me. And then I basically bill off of that at 105 an hour. So essentially, they fill up my gas tank. Now, there are ghostwriters. I know a ghostwriter. He charges a flat fee, and he wants to make sure everything's covered. So he charges $350,000. So that's a staggering sum of money, but he gets it. So he doesn't do many clients. So I'm a lot way below that. And then I have probably 6 to 8 clients at any one time.
Wow. Okay. So tell me your typical client.
Typical client, that's a very good question. I would say the typical client would be probably 40s to 50s. I have a lot of folks in their 60s and older, but 40s to 50s, probably a business person. Male, female, they're going to, they want to leave a story for their family. They want to leave a legacy story, or they just want to make money and sell a book for profit, or both. So I do a lot of, I've done former athletes. I've been recently doing a lot of politicians, a lot of political books. That seems to have slowed down now that we're into the political season. They have to already be out. So I do a lot of, and then I do a lot of African American books, believe it or not. I've written some for rappers and other folks that have been very successful, and they like the fact that I get into their lives and I'm able to tell the story. So that's kind of my. I won't say I have a typical client. It's a range of people.
So do you have a specific genre that you like, or does that matter?
Genre, I would say I work in a lot of different genres. I've done westerns, children's books. I've done drama, suspense. Haven't done a lot of romance books, but really hardly any of those. But mostly it's, I would say, legacy, family stories, and memoirs. A lot of memoirs and family stories.
So when somebody's a ghostwriter, is your name going to be on the book? Is their name? So who is considered the author? How does that work?
The author is my client. So my writing agreement says that I'm a work for hire, okay, independent contractor. I'm transferring the copyrights to them. Their name goes on the front. Their name goes on inside. They get all the royalties. If HBO, Netflix, those kind of, I use Netflix as kind of the umbrella. It could be any of one of those companies. If they come, they're going to be negotiating with my client because they've paid me a fee for the transfer of those rights. So sometimes, and recently more often, my clients will put me in the book and say, that I'm an author consultant and that I've done some editing, and that's a lot better. So that if their friends find out they've had some help, they don't. They don't look dishonest. And sometimes, and really, frankly, I'm doing a lot of editing. Some of these, some of these clients are actually doing a lot of the work. So it's not just me just writing every word.
So you've been doing this for 21 years?
20 plus years, yes.
20 plus years. So how many books have you written, actually?
I would say, someone asked me that about a month ago, and I would say it's north of 100 and probably south of 200.
Wow.
But again, hang on, let me just tell you. Some of the books are maybe 90 pages. A lot of them are maybe 100. Some are I did a book on brain surgery. Well, that's for their patients. They don't need a book that's 300 pages. But then some of the books I've written are 300 to 400 pages long. So
let me just ask you this. So the content, like for me, if I was a ghostwriter and it was on brain surgery, it seems like they would have to write down all the information anyway to put it in a book. So how does the ghostwriter, how do you do that? That's so interesting.
Let's take the brain surgery for an example. Obviously, I don't know anything about it. I learned a lot about it. And frankly, it's quite amazing what they can do. They come and they sit in my office and they tell me everything I need to know about brain surgery. And of course, I'm not writing technical books for other brain surgeons.
Right.
I'm writing a book for you and me.
Right.
So if I can't understand it, and they can't explain it to someone like you or me, their patients aren't going to understand it. So when they explain the technical aspects, I'm very, very good. It's just a skill that I have of dumbing it down. So I take the complex and make it simple. And that's what they love. So they're involved in it. Now, sometimes they'll give me a pamphlet. They'll give me, like the brain surgeons gave me all their, paper stuff that they give to clients. But I had to dive in to understand the electrodes they put in your brain to determine where they're going to cut, and they don't want to hit the wrong nerve. Staggering amount of technology. So they have to educate me.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you're learning something every day. So,
A lot.
Okay, so right now, Michael, what would you say? How many books are you working on?
Right now, I'm working on 8 books.
Wow.
So, but let's talk about that for a second. When you say 8 books, it's not like I'm writing 8 books. I'm writing 3 books right now. 3 books are in what I call post-production. We've produced it, it's for sale, and now I'm helping them with the marketing. And then, say, 2 of them were just starting. So you have 2 on the beginning. If it's a conveyor belt, 2 are just starting, 3 are in the middle, and then 3 are just coming off the conveyor belt.
Wow, so you've got a lot going on.
It's
That's
a lot,
good.
but this is what I love doing. It's my passion, so it's not a job. It's you finally get to do something that you love.
And you have an incredible website. So for the layman that wants a ghostwriter, has a great story, what is the process?
First of all, they hire me, and they write a check, and they sign a contract. Once they do that, and they have that contract signed, is important, and I'm not just making light of it, because now everything I'm going to be doing for them is going to be theirs. That picture I'm taking is now theirs. They will come into my office. We will spend hours going over their project, what they want to accomplish, what data I need and information I need to get from their brain. That process will take anywhere from 12 to maybe 15 hours. Some of the projects I'll have to travel and interview other folks, maybe talk to them on the phone. So some I only talk to the client. Once I gather their information, I convert all of that information to words, to text. Then I convert that to an outline. They approve the outline, make changes, of course. And once they approve the outline, I start writing an initial chapter. They'll approve that chapter or they'll make changes. Recently, and it's rare, recently I had to go back and rewrite the first chapter 3 times for a client who I just wasn't getting his voice right for him. Many times I'm right on the nose, but with him it took some time. But once I got his voice, we just started banging out the chapters and finished the book. So and then we go back, we edit the book, we proofread the book. And then we go to the production side, which is actually getting the book made.
Wow. Okay, so tell me about a typical workday for you as a ghostwriter.
A typical workday is I will get up, let's just say I get up at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is late. My wife gets up probably 5 or 6. Thank God she walks the dog. So I'll get up, have breakfast, have my first, I drink tea, I don't drink coffee. I'll get where I can remember my name and remember what I do for a living. And then I'll sit down and I'll start working between 10:30ish. And then I'll work for maybe 2 to 4 hours writing books, writing chapters, solving all the problems I've got to do. I'll take a break, go walk around the neighborhood, maybe work out the gym if I can fit that in. And then I'll eat something, and then I'll come back and I'll work for another 4 hours, take another break, and then I'll work probably till about 1 o'clock at night. So I get a lot accomplished between, say, 9 o'clock at night and 1. Sometimes if I'm writing well, I'll go into 2 and later, which then pushes me into the next day. But when you're feeling it and you're writing the chapters, you just don't want to stop.
Well, and for me, like there were some days in my book, some of the topics were really difficult. And for me, I would sit down to write and I just couldn't go there. I know for you it's different because this is your full-time job. And do you ever have days you just like,
That's a very good point. I do have days where I'm like, oh man, I'm not feeling it on this, but this on this particular project. But this is the great thing about having 8 clients. You always have stuff to do. So if you go, man, I'm just not feeling it on client 3, I go to client 4 and I'm feeling it there.
And you get energized.
Exactly. Or
Right.
I just don't feel like writing today. So I'll do the marketing or the cover design or the production side, or go back through the outline creation, which doesn't take as much brain power as it does when you're writing a chapter. So that gives me flexibility.
Okay.
But you're right. You can't just write chapters 12 hours a day.
So I want the viewers to imagine, what does your workspace look like? What does your office look like with 8 projects going on at once?
I try and keep an inbox, and Ken Follett, who writes a lot of things, what he does is he checks everything on Sunday. So I've gone to that, where I have all the mail that comes in, the physical mail, and it goes into a box, and then I sit on Sunday and I go through all of that. So I try and keep all of that out of my face until Sunday. So I've got a clean desk. I've got 3 monitors, 3 large monitors, and then I have a professional monitor holder that's drilled into the desk, and these are flexible. So I'm able to put the outline on one side, maybe some pictures of things I'm writing about over here on the right side, and then I'm able to write on the middle screen. So, and then of course I've got some tea and water, drink plenty of water, plenty of lighting and a variety of lighting, and I like a lot of incandescent lighting. No, I have no fluorescent lighting. So the incandescent lighting is softer and it's more conducive. And then I have some essential oils or waxes where if I want to create maybe a Christmassy smell or a spring smell, I'll do that. So anything just to keep me. And then of course I have a chair that's probably I think it's about $1,200. So it's a very expensive chair, and it's very comfortable and very adjustable.
Yeah, you'd have to be comfortable where you're sitting. Okay, so let's talk about the book titles. So
Okay.
when somebody comes to you and they know the story, did they come up with their own titles? Do you come up with a title? How does that work?
Most clients come up with an initial title that they fall in love with. They give me the title, and some of them, it's a pretty good title. But I play a game with them, and I say, that's going to be the leader right now. Like you see the Olympics, when they come down the hill, they're on the leaderboard. That's going to be the silver or gold medal, and then the next one comes down, and that's the gold medalist. I do the same thing with the title. As I'm writing the book, I go, man, I've got a better title. So I tell them, and if they agree, we move that to number 1. And then we keep trying to beat the title. And so by the end of the book, we have a winner that we're in love with. And at the same time, we've incorporated that into a book. Like the lemon tree, you've incorporated that into your book. So then that makes a cover, it makes a title, it makes a brand, and it's the same kind of process.
What about cover design? How does that? Where does that fit in with the ghostwriting?
When I started, I pretty much just once I had a cover designer, I just let them roll with it because I didn't really want to be involved in the process. And as time has gone on, I'm not a micromanager at all. However, once I sit down and I spend hours designing a cover design scope, I come up with a cover design scope, and it's maybe 1 page long, 2 pages long, and then I found pictures of things that I like, things that I think that would go good. I send that out to various designers to see who would be willing to work on this. I get their price, I confirm that with the author, the client, and then we start. But I've given them pretty much the template of what I want, and that process turns out dynamic covers, because now they take what I've done and they move it 5 steps farther. So they imagine things better than what I could have imagined, which is exciting because it's like I had this idea and then they have this idea. But if you don't give them anything, they just come up with this.
Well, that was one thing with my cover. I found someone who did graphic design freelance, and she was with the Dallas Museum of Art. She captured what I wanted, but then switching it to book cover form, it was such a headache because neither of us knew what to do. And so just using someone like you for that is just a tremendous, there's so many questions, and you don't know for me as a self-published author, there were just so many unknowns. I wish I had known you before.
Well,
I went to all the trouble.
I want to add on the cover design, there are lots of extra elements that you don't understand that I understand. At the edge of the cover in printing, you have a bleed. Okay, so if they end the design too short, or it's a design that comes too close to the edge, when they print these in these mass publishing situations, their printers and their cutting machines are not always perfect.
And the spine, like I've seen books now that the spines, and I never paid attention, but they can be wrong, and
Here's a tip for your viewers and people on your podcast. When I design a spine, I have the designs where they're rolling designs. So let me give you an example. If this was a C, I would have the C roll over into the back for about a ½ inch to an inch, and sometimes more. So when they do the spine, it does. If you have your design in right on the edge of the front cover, like a rolling C, right on the edge, when it's done on the spine, it will be a little over, or it'll bleed into the spine. And then you'll be thinking that looks bad, and looks unprofessional. So by having the design roll over the spine, you'll have a much better product. Because unfortunately, you just can't control the publishing houses and their printers. Frankly, a lot of them don't care. So
well, and two, I've seen a lot of self-published books, and I've gone to conferences and things, and I can tell those books that are self-published, they don't know what they're doing, and they just don't look polished. And you know what I'm talking about. And they may be great books, but that cover design is so important, that layout.
I want to just add something, because you just made a very good point. I've been to the same conferences, and you go to bookstores, and the cover designs, you just like, what happened here? Here's what I will tell the viewers. People are not going to buy your book if they don't pick it up. Or they look at it online. And if they look at it online and the cover looks bad, I don't care if you've got a best-selling novel in there. It's not going to get read much. And if it does, it will take a long time. So cover design is just like advertising. If you don't have advertising and PR and marketing, your book will be a bestseller after you die. So,
well, and then interior layout. We have a lot to talk about, and I have so many questions to ask you. So for me, with the interior layout, just having the left page, the inside book cover, and then that copyright page, and the cover page, and the title page, it was really tricky. So tell me about how do you help with that interior layout? That took me, I bet, 8 hours, just one day, on that darned interior layout. So what advice do you have on the interior layout?
Yes, I do all of that. I don't do the layout. I have firms that do that. But again, I'm doing advanced scopes of work. So I tell them about the fleurons, what type of fleuron I'm thinking about. Many times they'll do much better than what I thought. The fleurons are those little tiny devices that separate chapters. You'll see maybe a heart or a little dot.
Yes.
And there's millions of them.
There are.
I'll talk about where I want the author's name at the top, which side I want it. Do I want it centered? I have all these. There are hundreds of elements that you can put into the interior design, just like the exterior.
Well, and that's where these self-published authors, and I'm one too, but it looks more professional when you have that author name in a certain place, the title in a certain place. Even the pages with the chapters, there is just so much to know, and using you just can take it to that next level, And
that's the marketing aspect of it as well.
So, okay, that's where we're coming to, marketing the book. So I've worked with your ghostwriting company. Where do we go from there? Once the book is ready, let's talk about marketing.
Marketing, I help with setting up book clubs, podcasts, a lot of that stuff. I didn't used to in the beginning, and frankly, I didn't want to. but I've kind of fallen into it and gotten much better at it. I'm not the best, but I've gotten really good at it. I've gone through marketing firms and recently found this one particular firm that has been taking up my clients, and it's called rocketbooklaunch.com. This guy is he's been pushing these books out there and getting them across the country and getting engagement, thousands of engagements. And I've seen the data and I've seen the sales. So I'm keeping my eye on him because, eventually a lot of these disappoint me. But right now, this guy has been doing very well because they'll promise you everything and they'll tell you they're going to work. But this guy is very affordable and he's been very successful. But yeah, I'm very excited. Rocketbooklaunch.com.
Okay, that's good to know. Rocketbooklaunch.com. Where are you publishing these books and how are you doing that?
I would say probably 90% of them are going to go the independent self-published route because we can do it now. We don't have to go through the publishing process with the main houses. The other ones are going to the main houses and we're having to slog through that and they're going to make the changes. So we use kdp.com for a huge platform, but we also branch out to draft to digital. We'll do BookBaby. We'll do Ingram Spark is another one. So we'll be on several platforms because we can market those to different markets.
Okay, so does the self-published author, are these books, can they get into a Barnes and Nobles?
Yes, and in fact, it's not easy, but you have to go through Ingram Spark or Ingram. Who's the middleman? You have to have your book there, and then you have to send it to Barnes and Noble in New York, and they take, I think, 60 days to review it to decide if they're going to do it. And then once you get it in there, you've got to convince the stores to carry it. But beware, it's not always the best choice because you're going to have to take returns and you're going to be financially responsible when they order 20 and they sell 10. They're going to send 10 back, and you're going to have to give that money back plus pay the postage. Very expensive.
Wow. And what about ebooks, audiobooks? Tell me quickly on that.
Ebooks, every client does an ebook. Every one of my clients, we have an ebook. We do paperback. Some add a hardback, and then some have audiobooks. Audiobooks are big sellers. I was shocked, but they're big sellers. So I hire the narrator. We go through a list of voices, and then we have them do it. And they do all the work. We pay them the money, and we have an audiobook.
So what does that cost to do an audiobook?
Recently just did one. It was about $3,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Now, how can have you ever had a bestseller?
Yes. However, let me just say this: it is easy to they cracked down on this, but it's easy to go on New York Times and game the system. They've really cracked down on it, but I've had clients that have gone and staged buys, and so they can be a bestseller, like number 4 position for 1 week, and then they're off. And then they tell everyone they're a best-selling author. I am against that. I think that's wrong. I think some hacker is going to hack into these companies, and they're going to expose this down the road. And God forbid if you're the one that's telling everyone you're a best-selling author, and they find out that you're a liar. So I would encourage people to just roll up your sleeves and sell thousands of books. It's possible. You can do it, and I have.
And that's awesome. And with my book, my goal was, of course, I'm an A+ student. I want it to be successful, but my goal really was, if I can make a difference in somebody's life, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth the time and investment and energy. And I'm so proud of myself that I just thought, I really didn't think I could do it. It took me 4 years, but anyway, it's just such an accomplishment, and what you're doing is amazing. So how can somebody find you, Michael?
Well, they can come and meet me during this interview, which is unlikely, but they can check texasghostwriter.com. I have a website there. I have books that I've worked on and book trailers they can review. And then they can go check those books out and see the reviews, see the sales. So that there's some of that. A lot of what I do is confidential, so I can't show them all my projects, but it's a good enough sampling to see that. But it's texasghostwriter.com.
Okay, and we just have a couple minutes, so I'm going to ask The trailers. I went to your website and watched some of your trailers. They are fantastic. So, how does that brand a book? Tell me how that benefits book sales.
Tremendously. It's like the term rocket book launch. It's like putting jet fuel on your book sales, because now we open up to all the book clubs because they see it and they believe, hey, this is a professionally done project. So having a book trailer, a well done book trailer, is well worth it. It costs money, but if you can afford it, you will put your book farther down the book sales track.
So where somebody that's looking for a book for their book club, so where would they go to find a book club trailer, a book trailer?
You mean to find a company to do it?
No, just if somebody is just randomly, I want to find a great book for my book club.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard because people, when they advertise, they're not doing the book trailer advertising. That's why with this media firm, they're putting out the book trailers along with the Twitter and the links to that. So people are already getting that when we solicit them. So really, it's more of a push advertising. We're giving them the book trailer. If they're looking for those, just going to my website is probably going to be the only way they're going to see them.
Okay.
Or the author's website.
Okay. Well, this has been so great. Anything else you want to share?
I would say everybody literally has a story. Really, leave it here on earth for us to enjoy. Don't take it to heaven with you, because we probably need to hear your story and read it.
And looking back, I've even family members that have passed away, there are questions I still have. I wish I had asked those questions, and I wish we could have put some of that stuff on paper. I would love to know my grandmother's childhood. I had a very, very mean grandmother, and I would love to know what made her like that. I just wish I had dug a little deeper. It's been so fulfilling for me to do my own book, and it is so wonderful to have you just right here in Dallas, Texas. But are you available in other cities?
Yes, people fly in. A lot of my clients fly in from other states, other places, and so I do a lot of out-of-state work. It's sometimes, rarely, depending on the client, I'll fly to their place if they have a ranch or they have a place somewhere. They're high net worth people. They don't want to fly here. So, but that's rare. Generally, they'll fly here, but I do work all around the country.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Check out texasghostwriter.com. Thank you so much, Michael, and this has been so informative.
Thank you, Joe, for having me, and I wish you the best of luck on your book.
You too. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
Thank you for joining us on the Lemon Tree Memoirs of Courage podcast, hosted by author Joe Alch. You can find more information on Joe's beginnings and the Lemon Tree at thelemontreebook.com.